to demote him. Oh,
Here we
where's
go.
Dick?
No.
Oh, there.
Hi, Richard.
Oh, okay, there's Dick.
Hi, Tim.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are
Let's
you?
get started.
Hey, how's everybody?
Good, thank you. Yeah.
Good.
You?
Had a little trouble getting in as usual.
Well, I have to
That's
read-
okay. You're doing great.
Yeah.
And Debbie didn't even need to help.
No, she helped.
Oh, okay. Well, that's reasonable.
You're in my pod now.
I could see you guys, but it wouldn't let me in. But I don't know if I was not a participant, I think.
You're in now, buddy.
I'm in now.
Okay.
Turn let them know that we're streaming live. I will deal with these.
Okay, we're streaming live now.
Good. Let's get started.
Okay. The February 11th, 2021 meeting of the Yarmouth Zoning Board of Appeals is about to convene. As a precautionary measure to reduce the spread of the coronavirus, this meeting will be held by remote participation. My name is Sandy Clark. I am the zoning administrator and will be serving as moderator for this virtual meeting. I will now turn it over to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Well, thank you, Sandy, as always. My name is Steve DeYoung. I'm the chairman of this wonderful board on this February 11th, 2021. With me as members are Sean Igo, Dick Martin, Tom Barron, Tim Kelly, and with a quorum now present, I will ask that you, I'll call the meeting to order and ask you, Ms. Moderator, to explain how we work on remote participation. Thank you.
Thank you. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, this meeting of the Yarmouth Zoning Board of Appeals is being conducted via remote participation. Although no in-person attendance will be permitted, every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access and participate in the proceedings. Persons who would like to view this meeting while in progress may do so by watching via this virtual meeting on the live feed on the Town of Yarmouth YouTube channel. You may also listen to the meeting by dialing in to the number provided on the notice of meeting. The recording of the meeting will also be available on the Town of Yarmouth YouTube channel for future viewing. Please be patient as we work to overcome any technological challenges with the virtual meetings. For all meetings, all audience participants will enter the virtual meeting muted. Participants will be unmuted when called upon to speak by the chair or moderator. All votes must be roll call votes. If you are not speaking, please mute yourself to avoid unnecessary background noise. Do not use speaker or Bluetooth devices when speaking. For applicants and presenters, applicants can use the raise hand button or press 9 on their phone to identify themselves to the chair. The moderator will unmute applicants when they are called upon to speak during their portion of the agenda. Applications or presentations provided by the applicant will be displayed in the virtual meeting by the moderator and advanced by the moderator. Or if pre-approved for larger projects, temporary panelist capabilities may be given to presenters to share their screens while giving their presentation. All presenters and speakers need to identify themselves by first and last name and affiliation when speaking. For public hearings, during the portion of the hearing designated for public comment, the chair will ask who in the audience has any public comments or questions. Members of the public may speak by selecting the raise hand button or pressing 9 on their phone and waiting for the chair to call on them to speak. As an alternative to making comments via the online audio or phone, you may also submit comments to the moderator via their virtual meeting chat function during the public comment period only when announced by the chair. To do this, click on the chat icon and type your message. When promoted, the moderator will read comments and questions into the record. Members of the public recognized by the chair are asked to identify themselves by first and last name and affiliation for the public record, and then provide their comment. Prior to concluding opportunities for public comment, the chair will ask one last time if anyone wishes to speak or give additional comment. I will now hand the meeting back to the board.
Once again, Ms. Moderator, thank you very much. That was very wonderfully done this evening. And we have 5 matters on our agenda, starting with a matter that was continued over from January 28th. 2021. That's petition number 4875. Our applicant is Wise Living Development LLC with Christopher D. Wise as the manager. It's concerning property located at 822 Route 28, 834 Route 28, and 30 Frank Baker Road, South Yarmouth. All of that property being located in the following zoning districts: B2, HMOD 1, the Road District, VOC2, VOCD, and VC2. Our applicant seeks a special permit relief in accordance with sections 104.3.2 and 104.4.1 of the Yarmouth zoning bylaws in order to convert the combined property to the condominium form of ownership. I believe Mr. Singer is providing the insight into this petition this evening. Mr. Singer, we welcome you. If he could be advanced into the group. Thank you, Mr. Singer. As always, so good to see you. And before we get started in the order of your presentation, I just want to say how very grateful I am that you were so quick to provide the materials and we could get you back on tonight. So good to see you. Why don't you tell us what you've got to tell us about this petition?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. For the record, Andrew Singer, attorney in Dennisport, here on behalf of the applicant. We did take the questions that you asked at our last meeting regarding the condominium documents, and we were, as the chair just mentioned, we did provide you additional documents. We provided you with a clean and red line copy of the primary unit condominium master deed. We provided you with a master deed for the divided unit condominium, and we provided you floor plans, detailed floor plans for the divided unit condominium. The divided unit condominium is the large 822 Main Street building, which is going to be the senior living building. It will have 3 units. And as we put in the documents, both in the text and in the exhibits and on the plans, there will be only 3 units at most in the large building. One unit will be approximately 76,660 square feet. One will be approximately 18,377 square feet. And the third will be approximately 11,935 square feet. And we detailed these as requested, as I said, not only in the documents, but also in the exhibits and also on the plans. We also are proposing a condition, if the board approves, that in the 822 Main Street building, there shall only be a total of 3 units, a total of 4 on the property because of the 834 building, without further review by the Board of Appeals, so that you can rest assured that what we are saying to you cannot be changed to go more units without coming back to the board. With that, Mr. Chairman, we gave you a lot of information. If you have any further questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Well, thank you very much. I know both Mr. Igo and I raised some concerns at our last meeting, and I'm going to therefore call on Mr. Igo first. Mr. Igo, do you have any questions of Mr. Singer?
Actually, Mr. Chairman, I don't. For the record, I did have some questions for counsel. I called him on the telephone the other day. He and I had a discussion about this, and he explained exactly what he was doing tonight. And I think I have a pretty good idea of what he's presented. So I'll leave the questions to others. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good. Mr. Martin, you have any questions of our petitioner?
No, I'm comfortable with what I heard before, and if that's been corrected, then all's well.
Good. Mr. Barron, any questions of our petitioner?
Not at this time. If the legal issues have been resolved, I think we should move forward.
Mr. Kelly, any questions of our petitioner? Your mic is off. Tim, your mic is off.
Sorry about that. Okay. No, yeah, I'm satisfied with the wording now. That's fine. I'm good.
Thank you very much. Well, you know, I expressed the same concerns. I think Mr. Igo and I agreed on the concerns, and the board was in agreement as we went through the discussion. I'm convinced that you've met each and every issue that we had. I'm very thankful, particularly for the exhibit that details by percentage of ownership what each condominium unit would consist of. I think that that's vital, and I'm glad to see that you agreed by producing what we needed. Thank you. So does anyone in our audience care to speak in favor of this petition? And if so, please raise your hand so that the moderator may see who you are.
I don't see any raised hands in the audience.
Does anyone in our audience care to speak in opposition to this petition? And if so, please raise your hand.
I do not see any raised hands in the audience.
And so again, I'll just call on anyone who would care to speak concerning this petition that has not already spoken. Please raise your hand.
There are no raised hands in the audience.
Okay, so we now close it to the public's input into the petition and open it up for the board discussions and deliberations. If we could, please. I'm going to just chime in real quick to say the following. I think that when we talk about owning a condominium form of ownership, it's completely within the statutory right of a property owner, an improved property owner, to condominiumize their property. And I believe that Mr. Singer has adequately, more than adequately, complied with both the statute and our zoning bylaw. Now I'll shut up. Mr. Barron, anything you want to say?
Yes, I would move the petition.
The petition.
I'll second that.
Mr. Barron, Mr. Martin seconds. So let me catch up, gentlemen. That one caught me off guard, Mr. Barron. I thank you for it.
There's one condition.
All right, so Mr. Martin has seconded. Mr. Igo, do you care to chime in at all?
Yes, I would just ask Mr. Barron, pursuant to his motion, if we could specifically state that we are granting relief for 3 specific units per the floor plans submitted by the petitioner, and that there will be no further subdivision of any of the units without the prior approval of this board.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Just to clarify, it's 3 units in one building, but there will be a 4th unit in the other building, so it should be a total of 4. 3 in one building.
That's fine. There's going to be 4.
Yeah, I have no objection to the detail.
Nor do I.
Or do I?
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. You didn't have any comment on that? Okay, I just want to make sure I heard what you had to say. I apologize. I don't want to have to go back and watch this whole wonderful meeting, so that's why I want to take copious notes. I hope you'll forgive me as I go. Although in this instance, I know Mr. Singer is going to send me a draft decision, and I'm always appreciative of that, Mr. Singer. And you always do a job that I find commendable.
Thank you. I will prepare one.
All right. So we have to do this by roll call vote. We have a motion on the floor made by Mr. Barron, seconded by Mr. Martin, to approve the petition on the sole conditions that the relief granted is per the floor plan submitted with 4 units only, unless further approval by the Zoning Board of Appeals. On that motion, does the board?
She's going to be promoted now.
Sandy, your mic's on. On that motion, does the board care to have any discussion before moving it along to a vote? Seeing none, all those, no. Mr. Barron?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Igo?
Aye.
And Mr. DeYoung, aye. Therefore carries on a unanimous vote, a roll call vote, and that roll call vote should be noted in the decision to stay compliant with Governor Baker's wonderfully thought out orders for how we conduct these meetings. And so as you write that decision, please keep that in mind, that we do have to reference the roll call and the specific and individual votes, okay?
We'll do
As
that.
always,
Thank
I
you
know
very
you've
much.
got it. It's very good to see you. Thank you very much. As you know, 20 days must elapse before this decision, once filed with the Secretary, Town Clerk's Office. Once filed with the Town Clerk's Office, 20 days must elapse before it's considered a final decision. That's a technical waiting period. We don't anticipate any appeals. Once that period is elapsed, you then must file the decision with the Barnstable Registry of Deeds and return proof of recordation back to our board. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. It brings us to our next petition, number 4879, that of Joshua D. Bellotta. Well, I want to just reference his address. It's a 50 Bellotta Way in Fitchburg, Mass. I think that's great that you have a road named for you. The property location that we're dealing about tonight, however, is that at 160 Run Pond Road in South Yarmouth, Mass. That is a zoning R25 zoning district, rather. Tonight, our applicant is seeking a special permit under zoning bylaw 104.3.2, subparagraph 2, or in the alternative, a variance from the zoning bylaw 203.5 to add a second story to a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling and increase non-conforming setback. Good evening. I believe, Ms. Attorney Walsh, are you appearing on behalf of the petitioner?
Yes, I am.
Well, good to see you, and please go ahead and tell us all about your petition.
Yes. My name is Kristen Walsh, and I'm representing Joshua Bellotta. He's also on the call in case we have any specific questions for him. But we are seeking a special permit pursuant to 104.322 and a variance as relief from 203.5. The petitioner would like to add a second floor to the current single level house. It's in an R25 zoning district. Currently on the property is a one-story single family home with three bedrooms. It was constructed in 1966, located on Run Pond Road. The lot contains approximately 8,059 square feet. I will start with the variance because we are looking for relief from the sideline setback for that. When the second story is added to the house, it will increase the nonconformity from the current 5.7 feet that the house currently has as a sideline setback to 5.5 feet. So essentially they want to add 2 inches of insulation to the exterior of the home. And the board can grant this as long as there's a substantial hardship for the petitioner, the hardship relates to the shape of the property, and there's no detriment to the public good. So here, the shape of the lot creates the hardship. It's a reversed pie, so the largest setback line is the frontage, and as the property goes back, the lot lines narrow. So any home on this particular type of lot, it would run into this issue. But with the new siding that they want to put on, it would cause 2 inches. The house was built in the 60s at a time when they were built with little to no insulation. So this would keep the energy costs down, and 2 inches, it's going to be de minimis and it's going to appear unchanged to the eye. So then moving forward to the special permit, all the other setback requirements are going to go unchanged for the property. The front setback is currently 28.4 feet. The rear is 89.1 feet. And the second floor will not change any of those. The current lot coverage is 17.7%, and that will increase to only 18%. So this new addition will only increase it by 0.3%, it's a very small amount. And then the height of the property with the second floor will go from 17.2 feet to 24.7 feet. So it'll still remain well under the 35 feet. So in allowing the special permit, if the structure is non-conforming, then the board can approve if the alteration will not substantially be more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming structure. They're seeking to add the second floor to make the house more livable. Currently, the 3 bedrooms are located on the first floor of the home. They'd just like to put those on the second level and put those upstairs. So there's no increase in occupancy. It's simply just to make the house more livable. So at this point, I'll stop and give you the floor and answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kelly. Any questions about petitioner?
I do not at this time. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. My mic off
Martin,
again?
Mr. Martin, any questions about petitioner?
Okay, so the new addition is going to be 7 foot from the sideline? Okay. On the sideline where there's 22 feet presently, or actually conforming presently. Correct.
So currently it is non-conforming. The current setback is 7 feet on the right side and 5.7 on the left side. That's not going to change with the addition of the second floor. If the variance is allowed for the 2-inch exterior insulation, then it'll encroach an additional 2 inches on the left side of the property. So currently it's non-conforming with the 15 feet. We just want to make it.
I'm just looking at a plan, which may be an old plan that shows a 15 by 15 addition. So that's not part of this proposal. That's already existing.
Yeah.
No, okay. All right. I don't have any other questions. It's a tough lot to work with, certainly in terms of the shape and size. So,
Mr. Barron, questions about petitioner?
There was no comment by Attorney Walsh on the letter that was received from the neighbor. Would you have any comment about that?
So the petitioner is currently talking to, I believe Karen is her name, the neighbor who has issues with the shadowing of the sun. We have gone ahead and we did a sun study on the property and shared that with the neighbor. And they've also proposed putting in skylights to minimize the effect of any shadowing on the property. I can share the sun study that was done. Let me see.
Who's getting the skylights? The neighbor or this property?
No, so this property, they're considering putting in skylights so that if they would help reduce any type of shadowing with the windows.
Kristen, do you want me to explain that?
Sure, yeah.
This is Joshua. In my conversation with the neighbors, in the sun study we did, we thought that the couple hours of sun that she was concerned about, we offered that if a window above her existing windows or a skylight or the removal of trees or the lowering of fence, any of the 4 things would help her, we were willing to bear that cost and take care of that. So that's the discussion that's ongoing with her.
Yeah, I didn't see that the proximity of any of the trees, which are more to the front edge of the property, would conflict between the 2 houses. I did note the neighbor's comments about windows and about looking into being able to look into your neighbor's windows from such close proximity. And I visited the site and I looked at the new plans that were offered, and in the material that was offered, the slide number 22, very specifically, my comment has to do with the north facing view. In other words, the way the house sits on the lot, the left-hand corner is closest to the neighbor, and that left side is closest to the neighbor. And according to the new plans, there's going to be minimal number of windows. And what windows are going to be up on the second floor. I think adequate efforts have been made to minimize any negative impact on the neighbor. So it's gratifying to see that there's been an effort to understand what the neighbor's concerns might have been. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Igo.
Yes, good evening. I noticed in 1988 that there was an addition if the family room was put on the house. Is that correct? Is that your understanding?
Yes, we purchased the home in 2015. I'm not actually sure what year the addition was put on. I've got some pretty old pictures that show new cedar shakes on it. So I don't know
Okay. I mean, I'm just wondering why there wasn't relief on that one. That should have gone before the Board of Appeals on that. Dick, correct me if I'm wrong, are the sideline setbacks when this was originally developed 6 feet?
It would have been 6 feet there, yeah.
Yeah. I think yeah. Okay. Well, all right. I have a question on your floor plan. You're proposing 3 bedrooms for the new floor plan?
Correct. 3 bedrooms are being moved to the second floor to allow for more space on the first floor.
Okay, and the first floor, the proposed in the back, you've got this sunroom and then you've got a game room?
Yes.
All right. I'm a little concerned about those being future bedrooms. I mean, you're now going to a 3 full bath home, and I think those could easily be converted to bedrooms. I will say I'm also concerned with the size of this lot. You really don't conform anywhere except for the rear. You wouldn't be able to move it back any further because you'd be right on the lot line, especially on the northern side. These number of homes here that are built, there was about 5 or 6 of them that were built at once. And they were all really built tightly in there. And I'm a bit concerned about the precedent that we would set here if all 6 of the other owners or 5 of the other owners want to put second floors on these houses, but they're all right up against the lot lines. I mean, you cannot get any equipment around the side of the house into the backyard. So if you had to access that septic system, you'd have to go on the neighbor's property to do it. But that is a concern of mine, and I do have a concern about what could happen to these rear rooms right here, insofar as they could become future bedrooms. So that's all the comments I have right now on the questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you. I have very few questions. I think, as council has suggested, it's de minimis, the relief that's being sought. The existence of that problem that you just identified, Mr. Igo, access to the rear of this property or other properties similarly situated in this small enclave of very tight homes, is an existing condition as we sit here today. So the adding of a second floor, I don't think enhances that problem or exacerbates that problem. The 2 inches, it's a 0.2, so it'd be 2.4 inches of additional encroachment into the sideline setback. Again, isn't of a lot of concern to me because it's not increasing any habitable space whatsoever. It's just a byproduct of what is the newest and best way of insulating new construction and existing construction for that matter. So I think in terms of I understand everybody, your comments, Mr. Igo, but I'm not sure that I fully agree with them only because of the reality that these properties all exist on the ground today, whether we like it or not. So the problem of getting in that backyard exists today. I don't think it's exacerbated, as they say. I am concerned and joined with Mr. Igo wholeheartedly in my concern that this develops into a 5-bedroom home. I don't have a field card here. I don't know what the septic system is what it is. Is it a 3-bedroom?
the 3-bedroom septic that was. put
Okay,
in.
I'm sorry, I don't know why I don't have a field cut, but I don't. It's probably on the plan and I just overlooked it. The site plan.
I looked at it, Mr. Chairman. It's a 3-bedroom.
So,
But it's
so
a
there
3
can be no, absolutely no increase because we're obviously all concerned about the aquifer. And I think we've all seen it, that these homes become maybe summer rentals, and the best laid plans of mice and men are to comply with the law, but that doesn't necessarily mean that compliance is honored by temporary people in attendance. And I don't really need your client's comment on whether or not he intends to use it or not. That's of no consequence to me, or I think any board member. It's just a practical reality that we find occur in these second homes. So, I agree, but I think that we've encountered these sort of things before, and we've specifically placed a condition that it not be not be utilized for more than 3 bedrooms. And when the septic only allows for 3 bedrooms, that we perhaps even have a review of it in a year to assure that there's been no construction of walls or anything else that would allow for the enclosure of those those rooms as bedrooms. Maybe one of the ways to deal with it is that they can't be enclosed. They can't be walled off with doors. They have to have free flowing between the game room and what was the other room back there, TV room. Or, what is it going to be called?
Sunroom.
Sunroom. Yeah, sunrooms and game room. Those two designations always scare me. I know, and I think everybody on this board has run into this problem before. So, as you're showing it now. There is a door open. I don't know what it is.
Well, it's
Not shown as a door, but
no, it's not shown as a door. It looks, the closet is coming out and it's bumping out 5 feet for an opening.
yeah. I mean, that might be a suitable way to deal with it as a condition. I do want to pause it out to the board members. In the past, we've always dealt with these sideline setback issues as a special permit. Is there any reason why we would not do so here?
Well,
Well, give it some thought. Give it some thought. And I'll open it up now to the public. Is anybody interested in speaking in favor of petition 4879? If so, please raise your hand so that the moderator can determine your presence.
Seeing these people all up. Okay, scroll back up.
Is moderator?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm looking to see who's there, who would like to. There's a Ronald Wallert in the audience that would like to speak.
All right, could we promote him to a meeting, please?
Okay,
And his name again is?
Robert
Ronald Wallert.
Ronald Wallert.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you, Mr. Waller.
Well, thank you. And I'd like to start there. I'd like to first start by thanking all of you for the work you do. And I think too often it's kind of overlooked, the amount of effort that goes into maintaining the community and setting standards and adhering to them. So I certainly appreciate everyone's efforts. I am speaking in favor. I don't know Mr. Bellotta at all. I own the property at 102 Wilton Road, which runs parallel to this particular property. It's possible that we may have passed one another while walking dogs or on the beach or something, but I certainly don't know Mr. Bellotta. And I'm speaking in favor purely as as a member of the community. So I don't reside there full time yet, but that is our plan. By the end of this year, we'll be retiring and relocating full time to the property at 102 Wilton. And it's, just as a very broad statement, the reason I favor this is, I just think it's good for communities and neighborhoods to, invest and improve and, I don't know exactly the word, but, to put back into the community and to constantly upgrade and maintain and improve the appearance of properties. I think it does a lot toward enhancing the community in the area that we live in. And that's really my motivation for speaking in favor of this. I've been listening, and there's some interest in some of the concerns. I hadn't really considered those, and I do appreciate that. But really, I think these are the kinds of projects and activities that that the town should be actively seeking to support. And I'll hand it back over. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Waller, before you leave, I just want to say that when you do move down full-time, we'd welcome your participation on our board. We're always looking for members, and let me encourage you, either as a member or as an alternate, to join our board when you're here full-time. You sound like you'd be a good board member.
Well, thank you very much. I'll certainly take that under consideration. I do appreciate
Give it some
it.
thought
Thank
in
you.
retirement, will you please? Okay. All right. Does anybody else in our audience care to speak in favor of this petition? If so, please raise your hand. Let the moderator know you're here.
We have a gentleman, it just shows Rob.
Okay.
Would you like me to let him talk?
Well, please invite him in.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's Rob, maybe it's Rob.
It's Rob.
Hi, apologies. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Rob, but what's your last name, please?
Hi, my full name is Robert Frost. I am
and where do you live, please?
I own the home at 176 Run Pond Road. I'm essentially 2 houses away from Josh, is sort of, physically away from the Bellotta family. And so I'm speaking in favor of this petition today for similar reasons as the last speaker. My wife and I purchased our home in 2017, and it was sort of a close to a rundown sand lot, overgrown with, vegetation and, no backyard, no driveway, very, a house that wasn't taken care of. And we've taken great pride in the fact that we've, purchased the home and invested our time and money into, improving the home. And we're very proud of what we've done to the neighborhood as well. If you walk by our house, you can there's a sort of a definite change and improvement to the area. And so love what Josh has done to his house and the neighbors. There's been a lot of pride on our street, and I'm happy to support Josh and his family and the improvement in their home, as I think it will just do good things for the community in terms of the attractiveness and the value of the homes and the property, and so speak fully in favor for those reasons.
Well, thank you very much for your comments. Do any of the board members have any questions of Mr. Frost before he leaves, please? No? All right. So thank you very much. Thank you also for your participation. We look forward to you joining us as a full-time resident. So, Ms.
Mr.
Moderator,
Chairman?
yes.
Excuse me, Jim O'Terry has his hand raised.
Okay. Well, maybe I can do it. Is this in favor? Is Mr. O'Terry raising his hand in response to my request for anybody who's in favor of the petition to raise their hand?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so please invite him in.
Go ahead, Jim.
Thank you, and thank you to the board. I
live,
am
Jim?
the neighbor. Yep. Hey, I'm the
Yeah.
neighbor on the I'm the abutting neighbor on the other side of the property, the south side of the property, from the one discussed earlier. And my family's owned the home for many decades. I want to speak in favor. Josh has been a great neighbor. Really appreciate all the improvements that the Bellotta family has done to the property. It's really improved. His and Mr. Frost's improvements have really quite noticeable and appreciated. My only concern when I saw the drawings was a privacy concern from the second floor. Because the properties are so close together, I was concerned about the windows on that side. Josh worked with us and did a reconfiguration of the windows and put a transom style windows on that side. And I believe those will allay any privacy concerns that my family had. When we first saw the drawings, Josh was very swift and accommodating and doing that, as he has been with everything since we were neighbors. And so I would like to weigh in as in favor of the change.
Well, thank you very much for the manner in which you presented it. The only thing I have for you is a question as to the street number on Run Pond that you are.
162.
162 Run Pond.
Correct.
We want to note this in a decision that gets recorded in the Barnstable Registry of Deeds for posterity, and we want to make sure it's the right one.
Well, I don't mind being a part of posterity at all.
There you go. All right, thank you very much. Madam Moderator, does anyone else in our audience have their hand raised in a desire to speak in favor of this petition?
Mr. Wallet still has his hand raised. I don't know if he just didn't put it down yet, or.
That was a mistake. I apologize.
That's okay.
Hey, that's fine. We're all getting used to this new technology. Anybody else?
I do not
Does
see
anybody
anyone
in our
else.
audience care to speak in opposition to this petition?
I do see a Karen Schuman in opposition that would like to talk.
All right. And I'll invite Ms. Schuman to indicate whether or not she wishes to have
Thank
me
you.
read her correspondence, or in lieu of her speaking, or speak in lieu of my reading her correspondence. Either way, but we're not going to do both.
Okay, don't read the correspondence.
Okay, this is Karen Schuman. I'm at 156 Run Pond Road.
Yes,
I am
yeah.
to the north side of Josh. You can read that. I do want to say that Josh, they're fabulous neighbors, and we've enjoyed having them there. And as you can see in my letter, actually, I'm back and forth on this. I'm not definitely in favor. And I'm not definitely not in favor. There's just some issues, and Josh and I have had correspondence, and he's been fabulous to work with me. We've talked about, you were talking about windows, but you were talking about windows on Jim's side, which is the south side. We're in the north side, and we're talking about our windows, which are going to be shadowed because of a good amount of shadow. So that's how the sun study that Kristen Walsh was discussing about. So that is my issue on my side. You know, the other windows are on Jim's side, so this is a different thing. But like I said, he's done a lot to resolve this with us. And part of an issue with me is I have a huge 2-story house on the other side that we never got a chance, as that was built many years ago, which is much higher than Josh is planning on building. I want my fiance to speak for me, because we've had discussions on this. Go ahead.
Okay, I had a couple of questions. It's my understanding that
Who's speaking?
I'm sorry, I'm Karen's fiance.
Well, we need to know who's speaking.
Yes, absolutely. I'm Frank Smith. I also reside at 156 Run Pond.
Frank Smith?
Road. Yes.
All right, thank you.
And I heard earlier that the non-conforming issue is being driven by 2 inches of insulation being added to the walls, which surprises me because the house was totally renovated, new siding installed upon it. And I'd be surprised if we're going to rip this new siding off of the house and put 2 inches of insulation on it. So from my perspective, the non-conformity doesn't come from the 2 inches of additional insulation. It comes from the fact that the house is going up higher in the sky. And from Karen's perspective, our concern is that house casting much more shadows than it does now on our property. And I don't know how that plays into conformity and non-conformity, but the higher that house goes, the more we live in shadows in our family room and in our patio area and in our backyard. So that's really our concern. And as Karen said, we love Josh. He's working hard to work through this with us. But relative to the sun study, it may be good, but Josh did the sun study. We don't know whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And right now, we'd like to see how this is going to impact us a little better. And we can't do that from where we are in Florida. So that's our concern. It's the shadows.
Okay. Well, let me chime in on that before anybody else does. My understanding of our Massachusetts law, though I'll be challenged by anybody who has a better understanding of it than me, is that there is no right to a light or view easement absent a deed restriction to that effect. So this happens in an awful lot of occurrences where height is raised, whether it be to the 35-foot maximum, or in some neighborhoods when we need to put them on pillars or piles because of floodplain concerns, and they go up even more than 35 feet in height. And unfortunately, that's not, I don't believe that's the purview of this board. Other board members may feel differently. But I thank you, and as I said, one or the other, I'd either allow you to speak or read the letter as you pleased, and as you pleased, you've spoken. So I don't think there's any need to read the letter, but I will welcome you to add anything that you think is in the letter that you may not have spoken to. It's okay if you don't.
The one thing I can add is a good thing about it, and that Josh and Heather came to me last fall to personally come over to my house to tell me that this is what they're planning. And I'm just saying, as far as people go, that was very considerate. And not all neighbors would do that. So
neighbors should be.
Yes, and I don't want to stop him building this. We just have different concerns. That's all that's going on. But as far as the lot lines and everything, we know how much yardage there is there.
How close it is.
Yes, how close it is, and it is what it is, and it's always been that way for 55 years. So, so as you said about the light, I understand. And you know what? Josh is very willing to address the light. And if that has nothing to do with this, this special permit, that's fine. And thank you, Josh, so much for being considerate and keep our friendship a friendship. So that's basically.
Well, thank you so very much. Now, does anybody in our audience, in addition, care to speak in opposition to this petition? And if so, please raise your hand so the moderator might identify you.
Mr. Chairman, there's a Claudia with her hand raised.
All right, well, let's invite her in.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Claudia.
You have to unmute yourself and you have to
Okay.
tell us your last name.
Hi, this is Claudia and Jim Nethercutt. We live at 94 Wolfen Road. We've both known Joshua and Heather for a number of years, and we want to talk in support of the addition that they're putting on their house. We saw when Josh first moved in 5 years ago, the work that he did to improve that property was phenomenal. And we feel that with this addition, it's only going to enhance the property further. And any kind of enhancement to the neighborhood, we feel benefits all of us. So we are in support of him doing that.
Thank you so very much. That was very nice of you as neighbors, you and your spouse, to come on this evening and to chime in. Does anybody have any questions of this Mr. Mellicott, I think is what it is, right? Mellicott?
Nethercutt.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for correcting me. Anybody, no questions? All right. Does anybody else in our audience care to speak at all on this petition? Seeing none, right? Right, Ms. Moderator?
Ms. Schuman still has her hand up.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Oh, wait a minute. Low here. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, good. All right, so anybody else? Seeing none, we now move it from the public commentary on the petition, move it to board discussions, deliberations, and motion, hopefully. So we'll start with Mr. Martin. Somebody has their microphone on, please, in our audience. I would ask that you shut it off. We don't want to necessarily hear.
Maybe we could remove them as panelists, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Yeah, let them step back if you would, Ms. Moderator.
Okay.
Okay, but in the meantime, Mr. Martin, any questions or any conversation, motion?
Yeah, I have kind of mixed emotions on this one. I'm happy that the neighbors are and the petitioner are all friendly and want to help each other, and I think that's a great thing. I typically don't have any real problem with this. We're not really changing the footprint of the property with any 2 inches or whatever. That's inconsequential. The height, though, I understand the Schumann's. Miss Schumann's concern about that. Looks like their house is only about 4 feet from the lot line, and this house is 5'7". Actually, on the older plan, I saw it showed it as being 4 feet on this setback too, on that setback. So it is very close. And it's a pretty big house. I would share Sean's concerns about any other rooms becoming bedrooms. I wouldn't want to see it become any more than a 3-bedroom. The height, I mean, that's why that bylaw was put in years ago. Is some towns you can do by right, just going a second story if you're sticking within the same footprint. But it was determined that in Yarmouth, they wanted to see the Board of Appeals come into play here when somebody was going to make a 2-story house out of a 1-story cottage, or in essence, or a small house on a small lot, because it can affect the neighbor. And it certainly is. There's certainly going to be a certain amount of shadow there. I appreciate the fact that the petitioner will work with the neighbor to the north that is most affected by this. And I'm not sure if we ever came into any resolve as to her request for waiting, in essence, until more discussion can be done. But I guess right now I'm kind of on the fence. I think it is kind of a big house and a tall house for that proximity to the lot line. On the other hand, it is an improvement to the neighborhood, an improvement to the tax base, and it appears that most of the neighbors are happy with the proposal. So,
Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
Pretty much everybody that had spoken tonight in favor of this seems to be on a non-conforming lot as well. So I'm happy that they're all taking that into consideration, that they might be looking for relief as well later in the future. So yeah, the height is one thing, but I don't think there's, like you said, I don't think there's anything that doesn't fall in our jurisdiction. They're allowed to do it. So I don't. Other than that, I don't think there's any issue with it. It's on the same footprint, so I think we're fine.
Thank you, Mr. Barron.
My previous comments that the owners have been cognizant of the neighbors' concerns and have tried to address them, I think is very, very favorable. And I think that's the sum and substance of what I have to offer.
Thank you, Mr. Igo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is very nice to see that the neighbors are all working together to try to resolve any issues that they might have relative to this. I would like to just caution all the neighbors that as the abutters who support this today will find themselves in the same issue when they want to put a second floor under their house. And when we're talking about things like shadowing and windows looking down on you and things like that, I think that's indicative as to a house being too close to another house. There's a reason why we have these lot lines and these setbacks. And sometimes they're just too close. And 5 feet off the lot line for a second floor, it to me is pretty close, and it's really 5 or 6 feet off each lot line. They have that problem on the other side, it appears. I'm very concerned about the extra bedroom being built downstairs. So if we were to approve this, I would hope that we would put in restrictions that they would remain caged openings, couldn't have any closets in either one of those rooms. To certainly protect it from becoming a future bedroom. I'm not suggesting that the present owner would do that, but that a subsequent owner might do it. in as far as the height is concerned, I'm a little concerned with a 4-pitch roof on that house. They're trying to decrease the pitch to appease the neighbors so there won't be any shadowing. However, that's not really in keeping with the pitches of the roof in the neighborhood. The pitches in the roof in the neighborhood are averaging about 7-inch pitches. So I would like to see, if we are going to approve that, to have them make that roof steeper. It would be a little higher, but it would be in keeping with the neighborhood. And I think that's very important. And so I'm not real sure where I am. I will say that I do have concerns. And as far as whether this is a variance or a special permit, I really think this is variance relief. And I do have a question. I see this 1.2 little section in the front corner. Maybe council can answer this. Are you asking for front setback relief as well? Are you coming forward with this? It looks like your house is coming into the front setback. Now, it is very de minimis there, and I certainly don't have a problem with that, but it appears that corner, that front right corner, as it's marked on the plan, comes into the front setback, but it's small. You know, I'm not convinced the variance relief that the purpose and intent of the bylaw of the town of Yarmouth is for people to be able to put 2-story houses 5 feet or less, or more or less 5 feet from their lot lines. And the problem we're going to have is when the neighbor to the north, who I believe was in on this conversation, someday they're probably going to want to do it too. And so the same problem is going to result. So these are very tight lots right here, and this is very tough for me. Normally, I'm in favor of people wanting to improve their property, and I normally don't have a problem with a second floor, especially if it's keeping with what appears to be basically within that footprint. But here, this is very tight. And what we're going to do here when we say yes to this petitioner is we're going to say yes to 6 other houses that are all built right in the same fashion, right in the same line here, because the builder who did this originally did all 6 of these houses at the same time. And this was not the original house right here. In 1988, this house had the benefit of a family room being added onto the right, which built it, which is, well, it shows 7 feet off the right lot line, but they're encroaching into their right lot line, with the benefit of them being able to build that. Now, why they didn't have to come to the Board of Appeals is beyond me, because the zoning had changed by then, I believe, and it was 15-foot setbacks at the time. But, you know, this house has been expanded, and sometimes houses are just, they're expanded enough. So I'm a bit on the fence on this one. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I absolutely agree. I'm not sure I agree with the relief, but that's okay. I don't take any vested interest in it, to be honest with you, whether it's by special permit or by variance, other than I think we have considered a sideline setback relief as a special permit in the past. That's all I'm pointing out. Sorry?
I think we could probably go either way on that. Yeah.
Well, I just don't know why this differs from the way we've treated these requests in the past on sideline setbacks, other than how close it actually is. You know, that this is a very tight. Certainly, we've always treated any encroachment into the front as a variance requirement, into the back usually as a special permit, and on the sides usually as a special permit. This is one of the most interesting neighborhoods in our town, as far as I'm concerned. Driving up and down, you see some of the most eclectic sorts of buildings, whether they be 1-story, 2-story. They are all through this neighborhood. Just really interesting the way the neighborhood has developed. The reality is that these lots are peculiar in dimensions, at least, if not just ridiculous in the way the subdivision plan was allowed. It invited, when that subdivision plan was allowed, it invited this sort of a problem of no utilitarian use to your property without being outside the conformity of our zoning bylaws. So, you know, it's to me, I just, I see this on up and down this neighborhood. So it's another enhancement of a neighbor's property. I agree with you. I think Ms. Schuman and Mr. I'm so sorry. Mr. Smith spoke very eloquently about their concerns, and yet their concerns were tempered by not necessarily disapproval nor an approval, but a recognition that at least this particular person intends to work with them on this issue of windows and the like. I hate the pitch of this roof. Hate it. Think it's one of the worst things we can adopt as an allowed pitch. It is, certainly in terms of style, we're not here to tell somebody what to do, but the pitch is exactly what we used to look at in these subdivisions when they were built back in the 70s. I don't know why we have to continue that sort of streetscape going into the 2021s and beyond. So I don't like the pitch. I think the pitch needs to be altered, and we need to see altered plans if there is going to be an approval. And I don't know how to deal with it other than we've faced this problem with rooms that could be converted into unauthorized bedrooms in the past. And we've done it by way of special permit restriction or condition or variance condition. But it's, I don't know, it's a 3-bedroom. If they exceed it, they're going to be in certain trouble with the Department of Health, Board of Health. We could perhaps ask for a Board of Health inspection or an inspection by the building department. I don't care. Once in the first year, once in the second year to assure there's not being closed off. Require that entryway between the two sunroom and game room not be enclosed or closed off by doors or any other petitions, and be left open. I'd prefer to see it be 6 foot, but then that takes down your wall space. So, I think we can put conditions on that hopefully eliminate some of these concerns, but can't promise a rose garden here. Somebody wants to violate the law, they can violate the law, and we're not going to know about it till it comes to the attention of the building department or the health department. So that's all I have to say on it. I think that somebody on our board needs to, consider a motion.
I'm going to, Council, if I may, I'm going to make a motion here. And I'm going to make a motion that we approve the special permit. And I think we can go special permit on what their request for relief is. They've asked for both. And I think we should grant 2 forms of relief. I think we should grant special permit relief on the sideline request. I think we should grant special or variance relief on the front. I think they need relief on the front corner on the right, unless I'm mistaken. I'm not reading that plan right. It looks like their family room's gonna encroach 1 by 2 on the front corner there. Am I right, Council, on that one?
Let me double check.
28 something feet when 30 is required.
Yeah, you're gonna come into the front setback by 1 small little corner there. If you look at your site plan, you see that little line that has the arrow to your front corner?
Yeah, right now, our current front setback is 28.4.
Right, and you need 30. So you're gonna create a brand new
Mr. Igo, it's on the same footprint. It's
No,
on
it's gonna be-
No, it's not. It's an addition of 1 foot by 2 foot, which is odd.
It's a brand new one. It's gonna be a brand new, it's all right. I mean, I don't think it's really a deal killer here, but I think we should grant the relief just so there's no problem in the future if some bank attorney or something looks at a plot plan and says you didn't get any relief for that. So to prevent some future issue, but in any event, I'm going to support this because if I'm not dead set against it, there's no reason I shouldn't be for it. I guess if I'm on the fence, I think I'm going to lean towards approval versus not approval.
And so let's just stick with the special permit first.
Okay.
In order. But everybody that votes on this special permit should recognize that we also will need to vote on the request for a variance on the front setback of, I'm seeing it, it's being shown on this plan as 28.4 feet. It's what it says. If it's 24 feet, why is there a difference? You know?
Yeah.
Please explain the difference.
We'll just presume they need it, Mr. Chairman. We'll give, because they've asked for it, so we can give it to them. But in terms of the special permit, I'd like to make a motion that we grant the special permit relief to put the second floor on. And that is with the condition that let me bring up the, one condition is that the roof pitch be increased to a 7-inch roof pitch versus a 4.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Mr. Bellotta has his hand raised. I don't know if this is.
I think this meeting is closed.
No, he's in the middle of making a motion.
Okay.
I don't think it's appropriate for him to chime in at this point, whether he wishes this to happen or not. So maybe he wishes it to happen, but in any event, this is this man's motion. So, okay. So it's 7 pitch. What's the second condition?
The second is the game room and the sunroom are to be left as openings, 5-foot openings. No doors are to be between those two rooms. And there'll be no door leading into the sunroom from the hallway.
We make that 6 foot? They're gonna be doing major construction to put this second floor on anyway, so they should be able to modify that wall. I think the 6-foot opening would discourage it a little more.
Well, right now they got a 5-foot opening, so if they want to have a little barrier there, it doesn't really bother me. But another condition is that neither one of those rooms that have closets in them.
Any other condition you're suggesting in your motion, Mr. Igo?
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
All right, is there a second to that motion before we move on to invite the petitioner to comment through directly or through his representative?
I'll second it.
All right. And that second is by Mr. Martin. Go ahead, your client may certainly chime in briefly, okay, because we got other petitions this evening.
He just has a comment about the 1x2 in the front.
Listen, I'm gonna run over to Chris's for a little bit about the.
We can't hear him.
Okay.
Your mic is still off, please.
How
There
about
we
now?
go. There you go.
Okay, so real quick, the 1x2 is added so that when the 1x2 is added, Down Cape Engineering reviewed, and because of the angle of the lot, that front corner actually is not increasing the non-conformance in the front. It's actually over 30 feet at that point. That's why I didn't request a variance. That's all.
Fine. Okay, he should have marked it, but okay.
Yeah, we've had a lot of discussion about nothing, if that's true.
Okay.
Well, look, the relief is on the table as a suggestion, or that's going to come up on the table in a minute as a suggestion. If it's not needed, it's not needed. And
Okay,
that's
understood. I was just trying
the
to.
petition is risk.
Okay, understood.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion seconded with 2 stated conditions. Does the board care to have any discussion on that motion before moving along to a vote?
I think we have 3 conditions, don't we, Mr. Chairman?
I have 7 pitch. I have game room, no door between the game room and sunroom, and no door in the hall leading into the sunroom. And then neither room to have closet. I apologize. 3 conditions.
And the 5-foot opening to remain between the game room and the sunroom.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with Mr. Kelly. I like 6. I said I like 6, but that's okay. I understand if they don't want to move down or close down wall space, available wall space, but okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question about the motion. If in terms of the roof pitch, I think I think what you're adding is a little steeper roof pitch because it's making it look better, correct? On the other hand, I think that may be more problematic to the neighbor worrying about the height, no?
Well, I'd like to address that. It is what it is, as we've all said. I mean, if we're gonna worry about somebody shadowing, we shouldn't be approving something like this.
Oh, it's just a question of the height.
We're gonna get on this road again when one of the neighbors comes for this second story. So the neighbors will all have this conversation. So it's gonna happen with everybody. So once you put the second floor on, but I think it's very important that we have roof pitches that conform as much as we can to the rest of the roof pitches. And the steeper
It's the neighborhood in town, sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, right now the house is 17-foot height, and I think it was going to 34 or something, if I remember right.
24.
24.
24.
I'm sorry, 24. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It'll probably put it at about 26 bucks.
You think that'll raise it about 1.5 feet?
Yeah.
I agree with you. It'll look better, and I think that's important.
Okay, so does the board, any member of the board care to weigh in on the motion with the second by Mr. Martin to approve the petition with the stated conditions? If there is none, then let's move it along to a roll call vote. Mr. Barron, did you want to chime in with anything?
No,
Kelly, did
I
you want
approve,
to?
I approve the motion.
All right, Mr. Barron is in favor. Yeah, it's an aye. Mr. Igo?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
And Mr. DeYoung says aye. That carries unanimously. As you know, a decision must be drafted and filed with the town clerk's office, and 20 days must elapse before that decision is considered then granted, along with the necessity of the petitioner or counsel to file it with the Barnstable Registry of Deeds and return proof of recordation of the decision back to Ms. Clark. In the usual, we ask an attorney who is presenting to draft the decision, because after all, I'd like to work in my own office, and I'm only doing this as a volunteer, and I know Mr. Igo feels the same. So we'll look forward to receiving a draft from you, Ms. Walsh.
My
Okay?
pleasure.
Thank you, Attorney Walsh, as always.
May I just chime in for two housekeeping?
Oh, yes, we have to vote on the variance. Yeah.
Well, if they don't want us to do anything with the variance, then I'd ask that they request to withdraw it without prejudice.
Yep. What you wish.
Is that the variance for the side setback?
If you don't
No,
feel you
we-
need front relief, it's okay.
Oh, front relief? No, we'll withdraw.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion that we allow the petitioner to withdraw without prejudice the request for variance.
Second,
Who said second? Barron?
yes.
Thank you. Igo moves. Let me just catch up. Igo moves, Barron seconds to allow withdrawal without prejudice. All right. So on that motion so made, roll call vote, Mr. Barron,
Aye.
Mr. Igo,
Aye.
Mr. Martin,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
and DeYoung says aye, so therefore it's a 5-0 vote in favor. After roll call vote, please note within your decision that it was a roll call vote listing each person and noting that they said aye. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, since you've asked counsel to draft a decision, and may I suggest, counsel, you could see Sandy, she could give you, if you prefer, a couple of sample decisions that we've drafted if you're looking for any type of template to use when you do draft it. If you don't need it, that's fine, but just a suggestion.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, a question for Attorney Walsh. You mentioned the shadow study. Has any of that been given to the, has that been forwarded to the neighbor?
Yes, it was.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you all for this. Now let's move on to our next petition. That is number 4880 Deborah Ace, I'm hoping I'm saying this right, Sabula, concerning property located at 21 Pinecone Drive, West Yarmouth, Mass, which is in an R25 zoning district. And our applicant this evening is seeking a variance to exceed approved lot coverage by 1/10% for proposed deck. Who's presenting on, I think it's Mr. Hetzel. Hetzel is presenting this evening. Is that correct, Steve? Sir, could we invite Mr. Hetzel into our meeting, please?
Oh, we did, I believe.
Okay.
I see his name on the screen.
His hand is raised.
Okay. We're not seeing you and we're not hearing anything you're saying. So would you speak so that we can tell if we can hear you? Stephen, can you speak? Now it's muted.
I don't know, I invited him in.
No, you have to unmute it. There you go. Now try.
Okay, am I here now?
You are.
Okay. Sorry about that. This is like one of two that I've done, so.
We'll forgive you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm representing Debbie Sabula. Possibly on her deed, it says her husband who has passed away. So it's just for Debbie. You approved a variance back in, I think, October to give me a lot coverage of 27.6% for the new deck. And when we actually went and built it, the architect's plan showed 3 steps going down to the ground, and it was actually 4. And she asked if we could widen it by 2 feet to 6 feet, just because there's additional large patio furniture down below. And that's what caused the variance of the 0.1%.
It's the 4th step. Is that what you're saying? The addition of a 4th step increased the lot coverage?
That's mostly it, yes.
Well, what else is it again?
Well, we made the width of the stairs 6 inches wide, 6 feet wide versus 4 feet wide. And if you see any of the pictures that show from above, they show that there's some very large patio furniture that she wants to put up there. It would be very difficult. So as a builder, I asked her, or she asked me if I could just widen those. I didn't take into consideration that it might increase the lot coverage, and that is on me. So I said, yes, we can move those over, as I would do normally to any client, to just accommodate them, as long as it didn't, inflict any issues. But in this case, it overall raised the lot coverage to 27.7%.
Okay, I think we got it. Let's see, who wants, Mr. Kelly, how about you? Would you like to proceed first?
Yeah, I'm looking at the size of the deck and what's going on there. I think 4 foot would kind of look out of place. I know we're increasing it by a very minute amount, so I don't have an issue with it. I don't think I don't think it's detrimental to anything. I'm fine with it.
Hey, Mr. Martin?
It's a tiny request, and I don't see any real problem with it. We sure this is a variance?
I'm not sure why we can't amend the relief already granted, but
I mean, that would seem more logical to me, but
It's the exact same relief, only acknowledging it's going up by 0.1%, I guess.
Did they ask for variance relief before?
Oh, maybe that was.
Last relief that was granted was in September of 2020, and it provided the grant of a special permit, I think. Let's see.
Yeah. Just with the new day.
The grant was for a discussion on requirements of relief. I can move for the second or the grant of a variance. All 5 members of the board called. I'm sorry, grant of a variance was what it was back then. So.
In that grant of a variance, was that for lot coverage?
Yes, it was over 25% at that time. With the
Right.
addition.
Yeah, I think we can just amend that one right there. I think that's.
And would that seem to be the logical way to proceed?
Yeah.
All right. And Mr. Kelly, in light of that, did you want to say anything?
No, I'm fine with that. That sounds like it. Sounds good.
Okay, Mr. Barron?
I'm fine with just modifying the previous.
I've got no questions of the petitioner. I understand how it happened, and I agree wholeheartedly with Mr. Kelly that aesthetics are important in some of these things, and a 4-foot might have looked out of character. It's certainly a nice looking step, beautiful construction. Thank you, sir, for providing us the information. Does anyone in our audience care to speak either in favor or against this relief requested on petition 4880? Please raise your hand.
I see no hands raised, Mr. Chairman.
We then move it from the public participation in the discussion and deliberations, and we move it to hopefully a vote as to a request for variance now being altered to a motion to amend the prior relief.
I just say one thing. I was just say, appreciate the builder coming in and asking for this. I'm sure nobody would have ever known. Shows that he's an honest guy, and a lot of kudos to him for that.
Yep.
Thanks.
Well-
These things when they do certified plot plans, I'm very careful about that.
That always helps to weigh in on the.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the relief as requested.
Well, as requested, it's a variance. Do you want to do that, or do you want to just do it as a modification of this?
I'd like to, well, he didn't, well, I think we just modify special permit, well, is it the last one 482?
The last.
No.
What?
He's asking for a new, can we just amend the last one even though he's asking for a new one?
Sure, I believe we can, 4852, yeah. Because it's a lesser relief being sought rather than a greater relief advertised.
Okay. I think I'd like to make a motion that we grant the relief as requested in the form of the variance, either by amendment of the former petition or by new petition, whichever is the preference of the chair.
Very good. And to accommodate the increase to 27.7.
Yes.
I'll second that.
With now a second by Mr. Martin. On that motion, does the board really need any discussion? And if there's none, we'll move right to a vote.
Just to put it on the record for variance relief, I do think it's a hardship. I think it's owing to the shape of the lot. And I think a literal enforcement of this bylaw would certainly be not a financial, but certainly a hardship to the petitioner owner, who is in need of getting down a safer stairway. So I do think it's a safety concern. So I do think they meet the criteria for a variance. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
In this instance, I have to write the decision. That's why I'm interested in every word being spoken. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Igo. On that motion made to amend decision 4852, the grant of a variance to now allow for lot coverage not of 27.6, but of 27.7%. We will start with Mr. Barron.
Aye.
And we will then go to Mr. Martin,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. Igo,
Aye.
and myself am an aye. Thank you, Mr. Hetzel. As you know, we'll draft an amendment to this motion, an amendment to the decision. That too will need to go to the Registry of Deeds and be filed. Of course, that is only 20 days after it is filed with the town clerk's office, and proof that you've recorded it must be returned to our board. Thank you very much. It moves us before. You're welcome. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, understood. Have a good night. Thank you.
Yeah, you too. Yeah. Where to the number 4881 Manchester MC Realty Properties LLC. It's concerning property located 186 Cranberry Lane, Yarmouth Port. That property is in a zoning district R40. And this evening, our applicant is seeking a special permit under 202.5 subparagraph 5 to garage more than 3 vehicles. Whoever's presenting this petition, if you'd weigh in with our moderator. I don't see anybody on the screen. And I believe it's Attorney Rose. No, it's Attorney Singer. Or Attorney, go ahead. Who is it?
I think it's Andrew.
Well, if somebody could weigh in and tell us who's presenting.
Can you hear me? It's Marion Rose.
Go right ahead. Thank you very much, Attorney Rose. Would you please go right ahead with your petition?
Great, that's a fantastic picture of Andrew. I'm sorry, that's not exactly how I look. But I am here on behalf of Manchester MC Realty Properties. And also, let's see, I can start my video. Let's do that. Sorry about that. Hello.
There we go. Yeah,
How are
it's
you?
very much disconcerting looking at Andrew's smiling face while you're
Exactly.
talking.
Sorry about that. So I'm here on behalf of John Alberico and Manchester MC Realty's Properties. And we are here because of a footnote. It's footnote 202.5 footnote 5 in the use regulations schedule. And it requires someone who is seeking to have more than the storage of more than 3 vehicles to request a special permit before the board. What we have here is a dwelling with 2 garage bays on the north part of the property. And what the applicant is seeking to do is to add an addition on the south side of the property, which would contain space for 3 cars. And in addition, an open breezeway, a ground floor sunroom, and a second floor unfinished loft storage. Under the proposed renovation, the dwelling would have a total of 5 garage bays. They'd be split between the north side and the south side. And other than the addition that we're describing and is shown in the site plan, the exterior's dwelling would remain unchanged. We believe that the proposed addition complies with the special permit criteria and will not be substantially more detrimental or non-conforming and as shown as follows. It'll continue to be a single family use as permitted under the R40 zoning district. The proposed addition will conform to all the setbacks. It will create no new non-conformities. In fact, all of the setbacks will remain unchanged. And at the closest point, this addition will be almost 65 feet from the nearest property line. The property is nearly twice the square footage as required under zoning. Zoning requires 40,000 square feet, and here there's 72,902 square feet. The building coverage will increase from a conforming 5.6% to a conforming 8.6%, where 25% is the maximum allowed by the zoning bylaw. With this new addition of a garage, the off-street parking would be augmented, and we don't think that there would be any impact on traffic flow at all. If this were a garage where there were 5 garage bays, that would be quite, all in a row. That would possibly be quite an impact on the neighborhood. And I think that's why the bylaw requires special permit review when there are more than three, storage for more than 3 cars are contemplated. Here, again, it's separated, and the applicant has offered to, and part of the site plan is showing arborvitaes as screens for the 2 properties that abut this property. There would be 7 on the southwest side, and where that would be the lot that would be facing the 3-car garage addition. And there would be 4 arborvitae on the north side. In addition, the applicant proposes to remove the tennis court that's quite close to that southern neighbor. This would serve to offset any increase in impervious site coverage to the site, and it would also reduce the source of recreational noise that the tennis court might generate since it's so close to that border. None of this work would be done within any buffer zones or wetland areas. The work will be done. There'll be no runoff. Well, the runoff will be contained on the site, and there should be no negative impact to water supply or the environment. For all the reasons above, we respectfully request the board find that the special permit criteria has been met and grant a special permit for the proposed work as shown in these plans. Mr. Alberico is here in case you all have any questions. I'm here, and also our engineer is here, Brian Yurgation.
Thank you very much. All right, so we'll start with Mr. Martin. Do you have any questions of the petitioner?
Not really. I think the council or explained everything. Normally the sound of a 5-car garage might sound like a lot, but I think on this property being so big and with a 3-car side loading, which isn't on the same plane of the structure as the other 2-car garage, I don't think it's too obtrusive. Somebody got a lot of antique cars or something, but
well, it's funny, when I was talking to John, the first garage, it has 2 garage bays, but because it was an addition to the property or to the original dwelling, he can't use one of the garage bays. There's some structural supports there, so you can only put a jet ski or something like that in it. So it really works as a 1-car garage. It's not big enough. If you've been out there, there's a boat in front of it. It's not big enough to put, something more than a car inside.
okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a big lot, it's a big house, and I think the lot accommodates it. We're meeting all the setbacks. You're getting rid of a tennis court that's closer to the lot line.
We're keeping a tree too. There's a giant tree.
And
going
you keep a giant tree. That's, gee, you must know about me. And that's,
Maybe.
I know this property. I was involved in the a sale anyways, way back. And it's a wonderful piece of property. And I think this addition is in keeping with the style of the house and is an attribute to the neighborhood, actually.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
No, I think it's gonna be a nice looking piece of property when it's done. It makes sense. It's on a different plane. I don't have any opposition to it.
Mr. Barron.
No basic comments other than that this general neighborhood has seen an awful lot of new development, and this just enhances a very large property.
Thank you.
Mr. Igo.
Yes, thank you. No, I agree with the comments of the board. I think Dick covered it pretty much, and I think that we as a board have been looked favorable upon 3 or more garage bays on large lots of this size, and especially over the north side. This one's over near Fowens Pond, big lot over there. Certainly well thought out, tastefully done, very nice landscape design as it appears. So I think it's going to be a great addition. I don't see it being any type of an intrusion at all to the neighbor. So I would certainly support this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, I've sat on petitions where we've had a problem with these sorts of things in the past, and I won't bring up names, but I can think of 2 names right off the top of my head where we didn't approve it because it wasn't in keeping with the bylaw, and certainly wasn't in keeping, in my opinion, in the intention of the bylaw. I think probably I could be ameliorated a bit if my concerns would be ameliorated if we could state instead of 5-car, 4-car, and one bay of storage. That's what it's been represented to be. So I think that would kind of bring it down to a little bit more workable. I'm not only concerned about your petition, I'm concerned about other petitions in the future. And some lots, though they have the space, just are not conducive to 5-car storage, indoor storage. And that's unfortunate, but it's real. This particular lot, sure, it can handle. It's a beautiful lot, nicely designed plan. But I think if we can get it to 4 cars plus 1 for storage, and the 3 new, 1 existing, and 1 for storage back there, then I'm a bit more appeased. Okay, would that be a problem?
I am just checking on my phone to make certain, but
Your client can jump in if you want him to join us. We can ask.
Go ahead.
We can ask.
That's perfect.
Could we please bring Mr. I'm sorry,
Alberico.
Alberico, I apologize, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can, yeah.
Oh, great. Thank you. I don't have any problem with that. Like I said, one of the bays of the existing garage is obstructed by a pole, so you might get a tiny car in there, but I fundamentally use it for storage. The intent was, I actually think it might look better with the 2 garage doors, so I'd ask you to look at the plan. It can't really fit a garage. If you want me to take out the garage door, I'll be happy to do that. But I actually think it's kind of pleasing, the balance, and we're trying to beautify the front.
I'm not asking that door be taken out. I'm just asking that it be limited. You see, I'm not really concerned about you at all. I think that you're a responsible owner. You're presenting a beautiful plan. I'm concerned about those people that come after you and say, well, I have enough. I've got 60,000 square feet and a lot of road visibility, and it doesn't screen well like yours does. So, my concern is beyond this petition, and we've expressed reservations about these in the past. I think I agree with every board member here today, but I just would feel better if we called it 4-car storage and 1 other storage.
That's perfectly fine. Thank you so much.
I don't know why you'd need to remove a door. I think it's aesthetically more pleasing with the door.
Thank you. I agree.
Thank you. Okay, does anybody in our audience care to speak in favor of this petition? If so, please raise your hand.
I don't see anyone, Mr. Chairman.
Does anyone care to speak in opposition to this petition? If so, please raise your hand.
No hands are raised.
And for a final and last call, anybody want to speak at all in favor or against this? Please raise your hand. And there are none. So we now close it to the public commentary on the plan. The petition, we open it up to a board discussion if need be, or perhaps a motion would be well suited.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we approve the petition as requested, with one condition, that the garage bay that's represented to be primarily storage be limited to storage. That would be the only condition, and certainly no requirements to the change.
So it'll be a 4-car garage plus a storage bay.
Yeah.
And can you add in there, Sean, about subject to the proposed plantings as well?
Sure.
I'll second that.
On the plan. Okay, second that.
Mr. Barron is seconded?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Barron. Just give me a second. I know you want to go home. I'm almost done. All right. I don't invite commentary on the motion in the second, but if anyone cares to have input other than to announce in fact that we do meet the zoning criteria for the grant of a special permit, that is that this will cause no undue hazard, nuisance, nor congestion, nor will it change the character of the existing or future character of the town or neighborhood. And so I think that the petition has done a great job. With that being said, do we need any more discussion?
Only that it's certainly not substantially more non-conforming to the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. So with that, let's have a Mr. Barron vote.
Aye.
I keep picking on you for some reason, Mr. Barron, with the first out of the block. So we'll go down the other end down here and say, Mr. Igo.
First in the alphabet.
Well, you know, it's absolutely beauty before age, okay, Mr. Barron? So, Mr. Igo?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
And Mr. DeYoung falls in favor with these other four fellas, and we all grant you therefore a unanimous decision. I am so looking forward to your draft decision.
We'll do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have a great night, will you, please? Say hi to everybody over at that office of yours.
We'll do.
Good night.
Good night.
That brings us to our next and I believe last petition, and that is petition number 4882, Alex B. Hebert concerning property located 52 Alden Road in West Yarmouth. That property is in an R25 zoning district, and our applicant is seeking a special permit under 104.3.2 subparagraph 2, and on the alternative, a variance under 203.5, and that is to raise the ridge height of a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. Whoever's presenting this evening, it looks like a Patrick Jacobs. You feel free to go ahead and start your presentation.
It is. Thank you, board, for your time tonight. My name is Patrick Jacobs. I am the general contractor, or will be, for Alex Hebert at 52 Alden Way. We are proposing to raise or put a second story on the house that they have now, which is non-conforming. That's why we're here for a special permit. We'd like to go up 8.7 feet from the existing, which is 9.2 feet below the 35 max. We're not changing the footprint. We're going to stay within the footprint and just go up. It's a 3-bedroom house. We want to take 2 bedrooms from the first floor, turn one into a laundry room, as you can see, one into an office, and move the 2 upstairs. The one room will have a 5-foot case opening, which will be a loft. And then on the first floor will be an office with also a 5-foot case opening. That's about what I got.
And how appreciative are we? Mr. Igo, start off the commentary, the questions, if you would.
I don't have any questions. The petitioner pretty much laid it all out. I've looked at the floor plan. I'm all set. Thank you.
Mr. Martin.
So the house is becoming 2-story on the main body of the house. The wing to the east or to the right of the front of the house stays the same, or is that changing as well?
Yep. So the main body of the house will, the first floor stays the same. And then the main body of the house will raise up to the I guess to the east. That the wing there, which is the dining room, that stays untouched.
Okay. And do you know what the setback is to the main body of the house on the right side there?
It is, let's see, 5.6 feet.
No, I mean, not the dining room.
To the main body of the house?
To where it's going to a second story.
John did not put that on his plot plan. No,
It looks pretty good there. It looks like it's probably 15 feet or so. So, no, good. I think the new plan is a very attractive looking house, actually, compared to what's there anyways. And I think it's a good addition. And the lot, while again small, this house is placed better and squarer and can accommodate the second story, I think, much better than the one we already approved tonight.
Mr. Kelly,
I like the layout. I think they did a nice job with the dimensions and the overall look of it. So I have no issue with it.
Mr. Barron,
No issue. No comment.
Yes, I just want to say that this property is in sore need of some rehabilitation. And the rehabilitation plan is tasteful, appropriate for the neighborhood, and not going to result, in my opinion, in any undue hazard, nuisance, nor congestion, nor change the character of the neighborhood of town, but rather, or either now or in the future, but rather enhance it. It looks to be much more of a Cape-style property than what we have sitting on the ground today, which looks like to me an amalgamy of afterthought. But in any event, it looks great. Does anybody in our audience care to speak in favor or in opposition to this plan, this petition? If so, please raise your hand.
Mr. Chairman, no hands are raised.
We then therefore close it to the public commentary on the plan. We open it up to board discussion and deliberations. Anybody want to get started?
I think it's a reasonable request. One thing I would note is this one is a bit close to the sideline setback on the right-hand side, but if anybody is familiar with that area, you'll find many, many houses in that area that are pushed to one side or the other to the lot, the side lot line. Why they did it, I don't know. At some point, I believe what happened is they redrew the subdivision sometime before the end, as I discussed it with another surveyor, and that's why you have a lot of these houses jammed up on side line setbacks. I think but I do think it's tastefully done. I agree with you, Steve. I think it's a vast improvement, and I don't think it's going to be substantially non-conforming at all. So I plan on supporting it, and I would recommend the rest of the board support it as well. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know that I need to poll the board unless another board member wants to chime in with commentary, if someone's prepared to make a motion.
Chairman, I'll move to approve petition 4882 as requested.
And on that, is there a second? Mr. Kelly, second? Mr. Kelly, second?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't mean to pick on you, Tim. I just saw
Oh,
two
that's
hands.
fine. No,
On my
you see me.
screen, I saw two hands shoot up. You know, I don't know if you're seeing me in the same array, but I've got Mr. Barron up here and Mr. Igo down in this corner. And so I pick, and then you. So I'm picking on the corners throughout the night. I apologize. Don't anybody take it personally. All right, so we've got a motion on the table to approve as requested by Mr. Martin, seconded by Mr. Kelly. Does the board care to have any discussion on this motion before proceeding to a roll call vote? Hearing none, we'll start again with Mr. Barron.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Igo.
Aye.
And Mr. DeYoung says aye. So therefore, we have a 5-0 unanimous vote by roll call. And that requires a decision to be drafted, as you undoubtedly know, sir. That decision will be, done as quickly as I can get around to it, taking into account some medical stuff I've got coming up. So we'll get to it, hopefully maybe this weekend. And then it will be filed with the town clerk's office. 20 days must elapse before that is considered a final grant of decision. That's a technical waiting period. You shouldn't anticipate any appeals. Once those 20 days go by, then a special permit will be delivered to you for you to record down at the Barnstable Registry of Deeds and return the proof of that to our board secretary, the wonderful Ms. Sandy Clark, who also did a fabulous job on moderating this evening. Now, thank you. Good night to you. All right. Can we unanimously agree that it's time to adjourn this meeting?
Adjourn.
Thank you, everybody.
Listen, it's great to see y'all, but I gotta go eat dinner. I don't know about you fellas.
All right.
Mine
Stay
down the floor.
safe, everybody, please.
Gentlemen, thank you, Sandy.
Yeah,
Yes,
thanks.
thank you,
Have a great
Sandy.
week.
Thank
See you
all.
next time.
Yeah, and stay safe, guys, please.
Well,
Thank you. See you soon.
Yeah, oh, sure, not in person, but
Thank you, Don Marie, also. We see your name up there.
yes.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
it was a great session. Good job, Sandy.
Yeah. Getting closer to being solo, but not for a while.
Yeah, well, it's okay to fly with a co-pilot. Don't
Oh, I
fret.
like that. I never
All
wanted
right,
to
guys, good
leave.
night.
Night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
And then